All right. Welcome everyone back to another episode. It's actually episode 222. So 222 of the Broker to Broker podcast. I'm your host, Marc Summers, founding president of AIM. Today, very excited to have a new guest on. I can't wait to have this conversation just because it's what a lot of people are doing. They're going banker to broker, and this person's doing it absolutely phenomenal. So I want you to hear it from her. But another exciting episode for the broker community today. I would like to welcome the broker owner of Hyve Home Loans, Melissa Rifai. Melissa, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, so happy to be here and a part of the AIM community and be a broker because brokers are best, right?
I absolutely love it. God, you're doing great already. No, but with that being said, tell us a little
I
bit.
got the training manual, the handbook. It said it right on the front. So if I've learned nothing else at this point, I got that one down.
We'll take it. We'll take it. So, yes, obviously, I gave you the little intro there that you went banker to broker, but tell us tell us your story of how you got into the industry. You know, if and why you went banker, and then when you kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel and said broker's the way to go. So, take it away.
Yeah. So I actually started in the bank. So that was kind of an easy transition for me to just be a banker. I actually started in a depository. So I was a teller, and then when I became a banker in the bank, they had a universal banker model. So they had actually taken bankers who would do auto loans and credit cards and checking accounts and say, hey, we want to also have you doing mortgage applications. And so I did. And the funny thing about that, though, is yeah, I would take an application, but essentially it was just filling out a 1003 and then it would move on to somebody else in the process. So fast forward a few years, stayed in the retail banking model, and somebody had come to me and said, hey, I'm building this mortgage division at a credit union and I need some, people to help me lead this and build this. I'm like, great, if I know anybody, I'll let you know. And she's like, I'm talking to you about you. I'm like, what? I'm not a mortgage loan officer, right? And so that was when I really transitioned then into the idea of, okay, well, could I just take applications for mortgage and figure this out? And so I decided to take that leap and kind of fell into it, I guess, as most people I think do in this business, and started reading the Fannie Mae guidebook to my kids as a bedtime story and just studied that thing. And then here I am that happened in 2014. So I would say about 11 years later is when I made that official jump.
You're, I'm gonna say this politely. You're a sick individual for reading those guidelines. No, but you got to. You know what I mean? It's what we do. It's how we educate people. So you opened
Yeah.
up your brokerage, I believe, this year, like right after the first of the year. What was
Yeah.
your hardest banker to broker surprise, or like what did you see that was like eye opening to you?
Um, I have so much stuff in my eyes, I'm blinded. So there's so much that's different in the same industry that's really interesting, but it's very small things. So when I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go from banker to broker and I'm going to open my own brokerage because I've been doing this loan thing for over 10 years. I know how to put a loan together. How different could it be? Right. And so one of the challenges that I faced right away, I'll say, is that uh, a scary monetary challenge, because those are the ones that affect us the most, is that when I moved into the broker channel and I had my first set of disclosures that needed to go out, I did that through one of the lenders. It's very, kind of walks you through, it's very user friendly. And what it didn't really explain to me, though, or that I didn't know, not being on that side, is in regards to the settlement service provider information. I thought I was being like a good girl, A student, by putting the title company that the client had already picked in their purchase contract into that settlement service provider list. And what that ended up doing was, once it was time for CD, my title fees got moved from section C rather, into section B.
Ah,
And that was a $1,500 potential mistake that I had no idea about. I didn't know that, if you're putting the title company on the settlement service provider list, that is the title company that you're quoting initially, then those fees become zero tolerance, or I think 10% variance
10%.
or
Yeah.
something like that. But Yeah, I freaked out and I blamed the lender. I thought this was their mistake. And so I went on to the Brokers Are Best Facebook community and I was like, what is going on? This is not right. And then sure enough, I fell forward in that information, never made that mistake again. But it's just little things like that. You don't know what you don't know. And there's certainly been other little things here and there that I'm learning along the way. But it's things that the community really has helped me move through and learn very, very quickly. I've been appreciative of that for sure.
That's why I love that Brokers Are Best Facebook group page. It's like we all go down a deep dark tunnel. We feel alone, through this journey. But at the same time, there's thousands of us out there that didn't know that rule or have never come across that. Just put it in that community. They're going to help you. And if there is a fix with all the experience in that group, they're going to be able to help you out.
For sure. They are a lifeline. Even in the sense of, coming in, not being in the industry prior to, and not coming in with a company. Some folks may choose to open up their own brokerage and be powered by another company or have some type of person or advice that they can lean on. So, really what the people and advice that I've been able to lean on for me happened initially at Fuse. I met a ton of people at Fuse 2024 before I had opened my brokerage. And when I was saying, hey, I think I'm going to do this, and made those connections that I still call on, that I lean on today, and especially in that community, because if you don't have somebody to ask, like, hey, who's a good AE at this company, or hey, who can do this type of product or program, or hey, when I was at the bank, I couldn't do DSCR, I couldn't do bank statements, I couldn't do FICOs under 5, I want to say under 580. Really, we couldn't do them under 620. But at the end of the day, there's so many products and things that I couldn't do and people that I couldn't help that I can now, but I don't always know everything about them. So I lean heavily on that community and on that group.
Perfect. Well, that's what we're here for. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, I don't know everything, but I know the community does, as a whole. So that's awesome. So when you went through your tolerance cure issue that you had, um, there had to been like a kind of a deep dark moment of like, oh shit, what am I doing here? You know what I mean? And I think I heard a story that you had an old coworker text you and talk about coming back. Tell me a little bit about that and how did you process that?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a scary thing to make change for anybody at any given time, right? And I think for me, going from the bank side to the broker side, there's, like I said, a ton of things that I didn't know. Some of the things that I'm learning, I love, and some of them I don't, right? That is the nature of change. So you have a place of comfortability, the way that you're used to doing things, the way you like to do things, and it's what you know. So when something shakes that up too hard and there's a lot of things you don't know, sometimes you really want to like go back into that place of comfort. It's like, whoa, this has gotten a little out of hand here. And I think it's not so much so that those things are more difficult or that they're not as great. It's just a different way of doing things that you're not used to. So that being said, I got a text from somebody that, used to work at the bank that I worked at, and said, "Hey, just out of curiosity, like, do you ever think about going back?" And I had to pause because of course I do. I would be lying to him to be like, "Nope, never think about it. Nope,
Right.
I'm just, you know, of course I think about it, but I don't sit in that moment very long at all, because what I'm thinking about is stopping the workout, stopping eating right, not putting myself in that uncomfortable situation, right? That I know is going to make me better. So, yeah, your brain will start to tell you, "Oh, I don't like this, go back." But you have to immediately shut that off and say, "No, what are the reasons that I came into this?" For me, my purpose and my passion is so strong about the places that I want to go and the things that I want to do in this community and the ways that I want to grow as a company, as a professional, that retreating from that would be such a disservice to myself. And that's what I said. I said, hey, look, I know that there's some things over there that I miss. Absolutely. But you have to take the reasons why you did this and just hold in that and stop thinking about the things that you don't have anymore, because you're just going to continue to cause yourself discomfort and you're not going in that direction. So stop focusing on the things you don't have anymore. And I think this is a message to anybody who's thinking about going from banker to broker. You will get frustrated. There will be times where you're like, well, we had this over there, we had that over there. Shoot, I did it when I even changed from one bank to another bank. I went over to the bank that I got most recently. I was there but probably 7 years or something. And the bank that I was at before that had a great construction program. And the new place was like, oh, we've got construction. They always, make it sound great. And for the most part, I mean, it was an amazing place. But then when I got there, I was like, oh, well, you guys don't do this. And at my old place, this. And then something else would come up. Oh, at my old place, this. And my boss finally looked at me and he said, well, you're not there anymore. So
Wow.
let's move on. And I was
Right.
like, wow. But he was right. And so now I've just always kept that mentality with me on that topic. So yes, you're not going that way. So
Good for you. Yeah, no, I mean, we talk to a lot of people, tons of people that came over from the retail banker side, whatever you want to say. They're interchangeable to me. And the number one thing that they always say is they wish they would have done it sooner. You know what I mean? You don't hear, I mean, there's stories, don't get me wrong, of people going from broker back to banker. We call those golden handcuffs and all that stuff. But most people that make this switch, like yourself, they're like, I am so glad I did it. And obviously you're killing it. So it's a great way to go. So stick with it. You're going to be fine. Last question I have about the banker to broker thing. A lot of people have this feeling myth out there that you have all this stability with a bank because they're just feeding you leads and whatnot. What I think it's a myth personally, you know what I mean? But like, what's one myth, or even it might be that myth that you can debunk for people listening out there? Because there's all these naysayers out there saying, oh no, each side is saying stuff about each other, but I think brokers are better and best. And with that being said, like, what's one myth that you can debunk for us?
yeah, yeah. Well, and in all actuality, the terminology that brokers are better or brokers are best, to be honest, it's not true. And it is true. It depends on what you need and what's best for you and for what's best for your clients. It's the same as saying owning a home is the right thing for everybody. No, it's not. We know that. Now, does owning a home help you hedge against inflation? Does it help you build equity, build long-term wealth? All of these amazing things that home ownership brings to you? Absolutely. Do I think owning a home is best? Yes. Do I think owning a home is better? Yes. But does that mean it's true for everybody? No. And so when we say brokers are best, brokers are better, that's not also true for everybody, right? And so it depends on where you're at in the phases in your life. Now, I came from a place where I did not receive any leads from the bank. And that's not to say that there aren't brokerages out there that don't participate in, cold call type, marketing lead type programs that can give you leads as well. The idea is, how do you develop your business? How do you want to develop your business? And where are you willing to put the work into? And when I started at the credit union where I was at, I was part of a trigger lead program that did help me build confidence and knowledge. I will say that. But is that the only way? No. I will say that when I worked in a depository, I sat in a banking center, and being with my history in the banking center, I would just stand behind the teller line and just talk to people. Is there that opportunity? Yes. But is there that opportunity as a broker? Yes. You can get out and talk to people anywhere, right? You don't have to be behind a teller line for somebody to see you as an authority of confidence. in the subject matter that you're talking about. So for folks who've been in the bank and they know what they're talking about and they have the experience doing the loans and they're afraid for some reason to transition away from those leads, you don't need to be afraid because you will still continue to do leads if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're passionate about doing. And if you're not, then stay where you're at. You're probably not going to make very much money because you're not passionate about doing it.
Right, right. No, I mean, no, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm always going to hang my hat on brokers are best. You know that. And I know you feel that, but no, but you brought a new light into it of, some people, it's the broker world's just not cut out for them. You know what I mean? And technically there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I know for a fact that, we do way more work. We do better work for our community, but at the same time, you shed a great light on it in terms of you have to be in the right frame of mind to be able to do this. And obviously you are, which brings me to my next point, which is yeah, we're kind of in a tough market still. It's gotten better over the last few weeks, yeah, especially at this time of recording, and you hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm waiting for the market to shift, right? Like I'm waiting for rates to come down. What do you think right now, with your experience on the banker side and the broker side, what are current LOs, broker owners, processors missing out on right now?
I think that broker owners and anybody in the loan officers, anybody that's in this industry right now, and realtors included, literally everybody that's being affected by the real estate industry, right? Title, appraisers, everybody. Here's what I think is missing. Here's what I think is happening is we forgot what it's like to be an infant. We forgot what it's like to be green. And we just need to be green again. So, what I mean by that is when I got into the industry officially, right? So, I'm not talking about the 1003 days. Technically, I've been in it like 16 years if you look up my NMLS. But when I had to go out and read the guides and go get some business in 2014, that was a tough year. It wasn't like loans were flying off the shelves for me, right? I had to go grind and hustle. I had to build relationships. I had to work. I had to sit in my office and say, how can I get a loan today? How can I get a loan today? How can I get a loan today? And that's all I did. That's all I thought about. Right. And then we go through these cycles of where we've been doing this for a while and we've built these relationships. And now we just expect the fruit of our tree to keep falling. And we're not planting new trees because we're like, well, next spring, that tree is going to fruit. I
Right.
know it's going to fruit. I planted that tree. It's rooted. It's strong. It gave me fruit before. So as soon as rates come down, that fruit's going to resprout. Forget that tree. Keep watering it. I don't say forget it. Don't forget it. Keep watering it, but plant 200 more trees. And I think people right now just aren't willing to put the work in the same way that they were when they first started.
Yeah, we were spoiled there for a while. I mean, like I could almost literally pick up the phone, call anyone, or someone would call me, and it was like a deal was in your lap. It's changed. AI has changed the game. The big banks have changed the game, and you got to get your name out there. You gotta, as you say, keep planting trees, which I absolutely love. So, and then one of the big things we always talk about is rates. Where are rates? Well, you came most likely, because we have stats on it that brokers give better rates. You came from a high rate environment and was successful. This has to be a little bit like, I don't want to call it gravy, but a little bit easier for you. But how do you go with that objection of rates are too high right now?
I just was talking to a client about interest rates, and we were talking about the time that time period really triggered by a post that somebody had put out there about interest rates during wartime and things like that. And so I did a similar type of post and looking at where interest rates were and the average interest rate, right? I said, you cannot borrow money at 6.5% anywhere for anything that is so cheap. That is cheap money. So I said interest rates at 6.5%, that's not a high rate. Historically, it's not a high rate. in relation to any other type of things that you're paying interest on, it's not a high rate. So interest rates are not high. Interest rates are very normal. Like, so let's just stop saying that, number one. What has happened is that home prices have increased at a rate so astronomically that it's hurt affordability. But let's stop blaming it on rates. Because if that house was half the price that it is today, nobody would care about a 6.5% rate. So let's
Right.
stop blaming it on rates. It's not a rate problem, it's an affordability problem, it's a price problem. And so shifting that off and saying, okay, well, stop worrying about what rates do and don't do, because that part doesn't really matter, right? What does matter is, can you afford a payment today? Is it affordable to you today? And when we start talking to consumers, I think more in that aspect, I think that we're going to see a lot more consumers become comfortable with that idea. And they already have, right? As you know, rates have been where they are for the last couple of years. People are finally realizing that this is a sense of normalcy. Rates may not come down, and that's okay. If they do come down, which I think that they will, but do I think we'll see 2 and 3%? Probably not. So let's get comfortable with talking numbers and affordability and payments, and stop focusing so much on rate.
And what it was, like I tell people all the time, and yeah, I'm going to echo kind of what you said there, which is you can't get money any cheaper than what you get on your home. You know what I mean? And so take advantage of it as much as you can, right? Whether it's cash out, paying off debt, whether it is buying the home. And if rates do drop, right, which I personally think they are going to, not at the 3% that we saw, 4 years ago, but then you're just going to even save more money. But if they go up, you're not saving money. So you got to take advantage of it as much as you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what's kind of funny? Back in my banking days, I remember folks would come in who had a decent amount on deposit in CDs and things like that, money market accounts, and they would come into me and they would say, man, I'm only getting 0.01% on my, so we'd put an offer out there like, hey, open up a CD, get 1.5%. And they're like, that's bad. I used to get 17% on my CD. And I was like, yeah. And what were mortgage interest rates at that time? Right. So it's all relative, to be honest. Like, you're paying more in interest here on your mortgage, perhaps, but what are your earning potential on other funds that are earning interest in the market? CD rates are certainly higher than 1.5% today, and there's a reason, right? So,
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I just tell people all the time, use your home as an investment vehicle because that's what it is. Period. You know what I mean? Yes, I want people to worry about rates. I want people shopping, but at the same time, like you have to use your home as a way of growing wealth. And a lot of people I talk to and a lot of the financial planners I deal with, once we can get that across to them, it changes their complete mindset on everything. So no, you're spot on with everything you're saying. So I got one more question for you. Then I'm going to go to kind of aim and how we've hopefully, and I know we have helped you. But you're a one person shop, correct?
yeah,
All right. So you got a
today,
lot.
maybe not tomorrow. We'll see.
Oh, okay. So I like it. I hope I see a post about it. But with that being said, you got a lot on your plate. You have a lot to deal with. You have not only trying to find business, it's making sure that business closes, it's the back end, the compliance, all that good stuff. It's the market. I mean, it's all on your shoulders. Do you have like a time saving hack?
I would say limiting distractions has been my biggest time saving hack, and make no mistake about it, I am not perfect at that. But I am getting better every day, because I think that trying to multitask creates more chaos. And this is very difficult coming from a person who considers themselves a great multitasker. But really, when you have 19, when you have 2, 3 projects at one time and you can get them all done at the same time, like, you think you're a great multitasker, and that's probably fine. Once there's 19 things on your plate, you are dropping those balls. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
So you've got to put some of that stuff down and figure out how to prioritize, how to time block, and how to avoid distractions. I actually just bought the book Indistractable. So I hear it's great, probably recommend it after this. So hit me up if you want to know. But it's part of the idea of continuing to learn to get better at minimizing those distractions. And one of the things that I do, people are going to think this is crazy, but my phone is on silent at all times.
Really?
Yes. It vibrates on certain things. Calls and texts will vibrate, but no email notifications will ding at me. Now, they still pop for a second up at the top of my screen and will
Yep.
disappear. So if I am doing something, I've got to maybe let those go. But, we have that fear of missing something or not being so quick to respond, that we allow those distractions to come in. And I found that I was having a lot of anxiety because my phone's like ding, 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 ding. And I just put it on silent. So if it vibrates, I might choose to look at it or not. If it vibrates once, that means it's a text, which means it's probably not urgent. If it vibrates multiple times, that means it's ringing, right? And I might choose to look at it or not. But certainly no other distractions can come in. And the way that I allow myself to do that, at least for 1 hour, is I say, if I was sitting with a realtor, if I was sitting with a client, we were sitting in a meeting, I'm here with you right now. If somebody tried to call or text me and I missed that, right after this is over, I can call or text them back. And if something was so urgent that I didn't get to it, I'm going to live with that, because I'm so much more productive with my other time. That you sometimes, if somebody's calling 4 lenders and you're not the first to pick up and you lose it because of that, it doesn't happen as often as our brain as we want to say that it does.
Right.
There's still a shot. They'll still probably take your call. And if you provide them more value than the first person who answered, you're still probably going to get that opportunity an hour later. So
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love time blocking. You know what I mean? I think that's huge, and you'll be shocked what you can get done with time blocking. You know what I mean? And sometimes when I do that, I put everything on silence. Like no one can get a hold of me. The only people that can get a hold of me is my emergency contacts. And that's about it. So no, you're right. Like limit distractions. That will help you get through it and you'll be way more productive. One thing, I got you for a few more minutes here, and I really appreciate your time. But I picked up on something that before you opened up your broker shop, you were at Fuse last year,
yeah.
right? So, I would like to hope and think that, AIM and Fuse had a big impact on you of officially making that jump and really buying into the broker model. But what from your eyes and your view has AIM done for you to help you through this journey that you just started this year?
Yeah. So I wouldn't even say that AIM has had a big impact on me opening my brokerage. I would say it was the catalyst.
Oh,
There is so much fear around opening your own company, for one, but number two, going from bank to broker. So it was kind of two big fears that I had about, is this the right move? Am I making the right choice? And I don't know that I don't know what I don't know. And there was somebody that I was talking to about my goals and my vision, and they said, "Oh, you've got to connect with Julie Yarbrough." And so
Julie, we love Julie.
so I called Julie up and I said, "Hey, here's what I want to do." And in fine Julie fashion, she was probably like, badass, could do it, right? Just total, powerhouse, just all about that growth model, making that transition. And so she said, "But here's the thing." She said, you've got to go to Fuse this year. And I think we talked maybe in like July, and I think Fuse was in August or September or something. It was coming up, right, in a month or two. And she said, "Trust me, go VIP." And so blindly I was like, okay. So this girl who was with a bank signed up as a VIP AIM member so that I could get my Fuse ticket, and didn't know anybody there. Went down by myself. Well, I take that back. There's a broker here that I know in town that I knew was going to be there, so I'll take that back. He was very kind and let me know he was going to be there. But for the most part, I mean, how many people are there, right? And so I loved that she said go VIP, because what it allowed me to do was actually sit in those break rooms during the lunchroom during break, and I would sit at a table, and then the people around me would say, "Oh, hey, who are you? Where are you from?" And I would say, "Well, I'm not a broker. Don't tell anybody I'm," and this is what I'm thinking about. And every single person at every single table that I sat down at gave me their card and said, "How can I help you? What tools can I give you? How can I help you do the transition? What do you need?" It was the most overwhelming sense of community in a community I wasn't even a part of yet. And that to me was the catalyst, because that took all my fears about what am I doing? What do I do when I don't know? What if it's, all of these things. And it's like, don't worry, we've got you. Don't worry, we're here to support you. And I'm a part of other mortgage banking associations who I love dearly, and I have great, great friends in there, and I will never say a bad thing about them. But there's a lot of competition in between loan officers at different banks, right? If you're at this retail lender or this bank versus that one, like, yeah, we come together and we're friends, but like, I'm not giving you my like realtor handbook in Canva and
Yeah, your
you just
playbook.
go
Yeah,
brand it to yourself.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kinds of things I get in AIM. And you know, KT, Wade Betts, like on the Wednesday mortgage mornings, we're in those calls and we're like sharing strategies. Like, how do we make each other better? How do we all become better salespeople? I don't call the guy over at US Bank and be like, "Hey, let's mastermind on how we can be better salespeople. And here's the thing that makes me business." Like, what? This is crazy. This is family. This is community. And that's what I'm trying to build in the company I'm with. And I'm like, this is where I belong. So if anybody is afraid of making that transition, thinking like they'll feel alone or they don't know what to do, whether you're at your own place or you're starting with a very large company, it doesn't matter, because people all over the United States in AIM will help you be successful and celebrate your success. It's incredible.
Wow, Melissa, we might have to make that like a little audio clip because that was absolutely amazing. So, no, I thank you for those kind words, and I know on behalf of the team, we thank you as well. Um, no, this was great. I really appreciate your time today. I'm glad AIM could help you. You know what I mean? It's truly helped me. It's truly helped a lot of people, and we love hearing those success stories. And really, thank you for joining us today. You were absolutely awesome, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you. Happy to be a broker.
Absolutely.
Broker's best for me.
All right. So, brokers, if you want to catch up on all of our past podcast episodes as well as other AIM Network podcasts, please head over to aimgroup.com/broker to broker. You can listen and watch all AIM Network podcasts on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can download podcasts. If you're on YouTube, do this one. We're really pushing it here. Go. Our little handle is at AIM National for more great wholesale content. Everyone else, please rate the podcast, leave a review, download it, do whatever you got to do. Always stay on top of the latest episodes. It helps to spread the word and provide the world that brokers are best. And Melissa, you're one of them. And once again, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much.